And today is the third day of the event, but yesterday we had no racing due to the lack of wind. So we have the second day of racing today. I'm joined now by Marcus Spillane, the class president, yeah, and Ivan Bulagia from Austria. He's coaching the Austrian boys, and also Ian Barker, who's coaching the Irish boys. Welcome to the show, boys.
Morning.
Very much.
Cool, cool. All right, well, we're going to get straight into it and talk a little about Rio as the event, the venue for the 2016 Olympic Games. So maybe, Ian, you've actually been to Rio. Maybe you can tell us what it's like down there, because we have heard interesting stories.
Yeah, Rio's a fantastic city. It's one of those iconic cities, you know, with the photos of the sugarloaf and things like that, the statue of Christ. It's really stunning, and it's hard not to stop taking photos of the place when you're there. Unfortunately, it does have a problem with sewage, which obviously has a big impact for us, and they need to work really hard to try and solve that problem before we get there, I think.
Okay, and is that the sewage problem seems to be quite a health issue for the sailors as well? Have maybe your boys have sailed there, so maybe you can tell us, have anyone you know or the boys you coach, have they been sick from the water?
Well, at this moment, not that I know, but just going into the water, trying to launch the boat, it's so disgusting that you don't want to put your foot in this water. And I can imagine if you have a cut or something and you step into it, for sure, I'm quite sure you get something.
Yeah, okay. We have a video we can run that showcases the conditions there, and it also it gives you a chance to hear a story from a Brazilian sailor, and I think it's quite a vital thing to show. So let's run the video, please.
We're in our first Olympic team qualifying race, and we capsized. I think it was a sofa, because something like that, really solid, hard, because instead of flying into the water. And then you capsize, and in a top level competition, that's the end of the race.
Brazilian sailor Tomás Lodir trains obsessively in Rio de Janeiro's Guanabara Bay for a spot on Brazil's Olympic sailing team. But one of the biggest challenges for him and sailors from around the globe is the polluted bay itself.
Well, this is a terrible place here. We got plastic bags and everything floating around here. I think it's impossible to do Olympic sailing here.
Over the last 2 decades, authorities received more than $1 billion in financing to depollute the bay. Yet with raw sewage and uncollected garbage still streaming into the water, the bay is coming to symbolize Rio's problems in preparing for the Games. While reports have emerged that the Olympics could even be transferred from Rio, Brazilian sports authorities say relocation is out of the question.
Essa possibilidade não existe.
All right, well, we saw in that video that there could be a second option for Rio, and Marcus, maybe you can tell us a little about that.
Sure. I think the first thing to say, Beau, is that it's very unlikely that we're going to be moving from Rio as a venue. But the way it works is that once the IOC announce a host city, it then comes down to basically a discussion with the international federations for where, particularly in terms of sailing, where that event is held. And there is talk about potentially moving it to Bulagia, which is a beautiful sailing venue, very clean water, just up the road from Rio. But the reality is ISAF, and I think also the ROCOG, the Rio Organizing Committee of the Olympic Games, they want to keep all the sports in the same venue. And I think, you know, the reality is at this late stage, I think it's highly unlikely that it's going to move. Even though, you know, from a pure sailing perspective, it would be much better to have it up in Bulagia.
Well, now we've had a late comer to the show. We've got Emmett Lazich has joined us on the couch. He's the coach for the Australian boys, and maybe we can get him to chime in a little on this topic. And have you heard any reports from this other option, Bulagia, if it's a nice venue, and would you like it to go there?
Hi, Beau. Yeah, I'd really like it to go there. I'm actually surprised we're even talking about it. I thought the whole idea had been canned. We got quite excited for a while there, because sailing in the Olympics unfortunately seems to be the norm as opposed to the exception, and that's the main issue from my perspective. Like, it is difficult for the sailors with accommodation because we're so far. Well, you can't really stay in the Olympic Village; it would be impractical. Accommodation's a challenge. It is a little bit of a challenge dealing with the locals, and to be in a satellite city with a satellite village and everything, I think would be unreal. But I didn't think it was a possibility anymore. And the sailing conditions up there, from all reports I've heard, are excellent.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to another topic now, because it seems like that video was at least a few months old, so I think that it has been closed quite shut. But it's just nice to hear what you guys think about the topic. And now we're going to move on to the new ISAF Sailing World Cup format and the possibility of the grand final, which will be held in Abu Dhabi, if I'm correct. So maybe, Marcus, you can talk us through the facts about it, the basic facts, and then I'll ask the other guys a little more about it.
Sure. Okay, Beau. Very simply, the Sailing World Cup, ISAF Sailing World Cup, is designed to be a pinnacle event. The grand final every year is designed to mirror what the Olympic format looks like. And the idea is that instead of having an Olympics once every 4 years, that we ultimately end up with one very high-profile, fully professional event for our elite sailors once a year. And that provides a pathway to the Olympics. It provides a format for ISAF to commercially drive sailing. And so that builds the personalities in the sport. It showcases our best sailors. And that's what the whole Sailing World Cup is designed to be. And very simply, the kind of the format is a grand final every year, which is this pinnacle event, which is designed to be 20 boats only for certain classes, and then 40 boats for other classes. 20 boats only for the grand final for all classes, and it's designed to be to mirror the Olympics. But as part of that, there's 5 Sailing World Cup events that feed into that, and they will be located around the world: Asia, Oceania, the Americas, and 2 European events. And you basically qualify for the grand final by winning one of the Sailing World Cup events, by podium positions at a class worlds, by the sailing rankings, and by some wildcard events. And very simply, it's a real commercial proposition. It's for elite sailors, and it's designed to mirror what the Olympics is and provide a pathway to that pinnacle Olympic event every 4 years.
Okay. So the wildcard entries, we might see 5 boats enter on these circuit events, not the grand final. But are we going to see the 5 boats randomly selected, or are they coming in on a different kind of scheme?
Well, I think a lot of it hasn't yet been decided exactly how it's going to work, but very simply, you're going to have 5 entries from the 5 winners of the Sailing World Cup events. You're going to have the podium positions, so that's another 3 from the Class World Championships. And then there's going to be a split, basically, the sailing rankings, the world rankings, and then there's going to be some wildcards. And basically, that's to allow the organisers invite some of the top sailors. And if you think about Nathan Outteridge, for example, who Emmett coaches, you have an America's Cup sailor who might be out of the circuit for a year while he has other commitments, but is obviously still one of the big draws for an event like a Sailing World Cup Grand Final. And so they just want to have, and I would say it maybe is a couple or 3 places that they'll keep open to be able to invite somebody like that or in that type of situation.
Okay. Ethan, maybe you can you talk us a little through with how you guys will how they are accepting this new system, and what do you guys have to do to plan a year of sailing, just roughly? Like, how do you prepare for something you don't know yet?
Yeah, this is the main problem. We still have no idea about how it's going to work, and especially financially, I would say traveling around the world with your own boats costs so much money, and I think that stronger nations can maybe follow all these regattas, but I'm quite sure many good sailors with limited budgets cannot really follow these races around the world. So this might be quite an issue. I don't know if ISAF will provide some logistic or help. At this point, we have no idea about this, so it's hard to make any plans.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, we're going to now talk about something a little off topic. It's you're back in the class now, sailing at this event, Marcus. So let's hear how you're going so far and what you look forward to in today's conditions.
Beau, it's very simple. I've been in the class since 1999, so nearly as long as Ian and Emmett. My plan is to stay upright, not to go swimming. I'm here purely to have fun, to participate, to show the sailors that I still have some bit of knowledge about what they're going through. But the reality is I'm not there to compete, like to be, competitive. I'm here for fun, to get around the course, stay upright. I'll leave Ian and Emmett talk about the good old days. They have far better memories than I do. So let's do that.
All right, well, maybe, Ian, we did see a video, well, yesterday when I had Matt on the show. He talked pretty harsh on you, and maybe we'll throw that clip on now just so people can, if you didn't tune in yesterday, you can check out this. What do you think of your coach, Ian Barker?
Oh, need to get rid of him, eh? I do believe you've got him and a couple of other coaches on tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't bother tuning in for that unless you like to listen to people talk about what they eat. It'll be a 15-minute segment on coaches, Oh yeah, I had 3 sandwiches today and a packet of crisps and I'm really tired from being in the water, That's pretty much what we get from our coach. Maybe we don't need them.
Okay, well, Matt was pretty harsh there, but maybe Ian, you can have a bit of a comeback.
Well, is that the best he can do? No, Matt he's a great bloke, obviously, and a very talented sailor. But he does, and every now and again he does make up the odd story or two. And I think that's what we're seeing here. He, if I've said anything about how much I'm eating or anything like that, it's probably to take his mind off, a pre-race hissy fit that he's having or something like that. But no, generally speaking, they're great guys to coach, and we're really enjoying it. And it's a great venue with weather, brilliant weather today. So we're looking forward to it today.
Come on, you got to say what you really think about the boys. All right, well, Emmett, maybe you can talk a little about the boats have come a long way. The evolution of the 49er as a like the hulls and the rigs and all that. Can you explain how it was compared to how it is?
They're much nicer boats today. It's a bit of a shame actually. I think that back in our era, like pre-Sydney in the late 90s, if you had the boats, the hulls, the rigs, the sails, and everything that the boys and the girls have got options now. There was no options for the girls obviously back then. I struggled to imagine how popular it maybe could have been from the outset if we had the sort of gear that the boys and girls have got today. The hulls are substantially stiffer. There's probably double the number of frames inside the hulls that you used to have. The boats are normally bent like a banana like this. We could go over waves and they'd almost straighten out, they were so flexible front to back. On the trapeze you could see the cockpit going up and down 6 inches, The masts were so flexible that you would bounce up and down. Sometimes the masts would completely sort of fold under their own weight and your feet go about a metre up and you pop back up and you wonder what's happened.
The builders have done a great job keeping the development of the hull going over the years.
Yeah.
In this one design.
There's no design changes, yeah? It's just...
No, there used to be 3 moulds, now there's 1, and the moulds are excellent. The shape is excellent, the construction's much higher, they're just better standards.
They're a lot easier to sail now these days as well with the light rigs, aren't they?
Dramatically.
In our days, it was a lot harder.
They are.
That's why we capsized so much.
Well, it was spectacular, especially with the 49er Grand Prix that followed the 18s.
Yeah. There was some spectacular Nortel replays, I remember.
Yeah, we
Melbourne.
watched a lot of that.
China.
I don't know how easy they got it these days.
China's an interesting one, but when you had guys like Stevie and Nathan, Jonas is here, Ben was there, Ben Ramoka, and you had young men who were like sailing around at 136 kilos with masts that are 5 kilos heavier than they are today, and it was tough. It was tough. Like even like the girls in their FXs today, I've seen them on the boat ramp. They can go from holding one side of the boat, go to the bow, go to the other side, and walk around it like it's a 420. The old boats with 5 kilos more mast up there, you can hold on to the bow for about 5 seconds and it just tips over, you know. And
Very
so
top heavy, yeah.
China was, the boys really literally sailed above their weight in that heavy air race in China, and a lot of the boat handling that you saw in the old days, sometimes it might look a little bit awkward, but the boys today, if they went out and put a couple of bricks on the top of their mast and went training, they'd find out what it was like.
Milk bottles you want on the top.
Milk bottles, yeah.
What, empty ones or full ones?
Empty ones, obviously.
A couple of each.
Cool. Well, Marcus, you've jumped back in, and you've noticed these big changes, yeah?
Not really, to be honest. I'm still swimming, which is par for the course. But no, there is no question the boats have evolved, and I think it is an evolution. We try and keep the boat update. There is a plan again post 2016 where we're designing new spinnakers. They're substantially designed now. You know, and the whole idea is to take advantage of the latest technology and you know, just to kind of keep the boat current. I think that's the real thing. And you know, there's no question what we learned from the guys from the late 90s all the way to now, that has all fed into every step of the process.
All right. Well, thanks for that, guys. So now we've run out of time, so we've gone a little longer than we've expected, and I just want to plug tomorrow's racing. We've got live racing from 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, and each day from then on we'll also have live racing. Tune in tomorrow. I'll be catching up with Pete Burling and Nathan Outteridge, my brother, and Emmett's own protege, I guess. No. Yeah, we'll be catching up with those guys, talking about their rivalry and how far it goes back. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. It's been fantastic having you. Cool. And today we've got a fair bit of wind, so we could see a lot of action. And stay tuned for the highlights video tonight. Thank you very much, and see you later.